So last year, Godzilla Minus One was released, and we all know what happened next. It made plenty of cheddar at the box office alongside receiving widespread critical acclaim. However, the unfortunate consequence of this is pretentious video essayists and trend-chasing YouTubers trying to cash in on the buzz surrounding the film, without actually knowing or giving a damn about the franchise that birthed it. When Minus One dropped, so did a metric crap ton of shitty videos that for some reason couldn't praise Minus One without throwing shade at the Monsterverse, the show era, or in some cases even Hollywood itself. Often under false pretenses, the most notorious being Dr. Skipper's Godzilla Doesn't Work in America video. Even I was damn near tempted to make a refutation myself, but to be honest, it's been covered like ad nauseum at this point. It got so much backlash that I don't really have anything else to say that hasn't already been said. One of the more recent offenders though is this video by Nerdstalgic that just so happened to plop into my recommended but a few days ago. On the surface it appears to be more garden variety algorithm fodder, as you'd expect. But there's actually a lot of brazenly made brain dead takes, and on top of that the solution this video proposes to the so-called Monsterverse problem
pissed me off so bad I
just had to refute it. Is there a problem with Godzilla? Well, I don't know, man. Let's find out, shall we? Without further ado, let's dive right in.
These separate and disparate versions of the iconic kaiju have all been responsible for literal billions of dollars generated at the box office. But only certain iterations of everyone's beloved King of the Monsters have stood the test of time.
What do you mean by standing the test of time? Like, what metric are you judging that on exactly? All three of the examples shown, Godzilla 2014, Godzilla 1998, and Minus One respectively, are still being actively talked about and discussed within the Godzilla community. How 1998 has undergone a sort of Revenge of the Sith effect, as I like to call it, with attitudes towards the film generally being more positive nowadays in comparison to its initial reception. An opinion shared by Yamazaki himself, believe it or not. Are you talking about the themes and messaging of these films standing the test of time? Because almost every Godzilla movie contains themes still applicable today. I mean, you've got the historical revisionism of GMK, or Godzilla vs. Biolante's take on man's exploitation and meddling with nature, or the environmental messaging of Godzilla vs. Hedorah. I mean, etc, take your pick. Even 1998, which has the classic anti-nuclear power message, tries to take it in a more modern direction, with world leaders trying to cover up whilst hand-waving any and all responsibility. It's such a vague statement that is not elaborated on in the slightest, so honestly I just don't know what to make of it. Moving on.
In 2014, Gareth Edwards directed a film simply titled Godzilla. It was, for many Americans, a reintroduction to one of the most globally beloved characters cinema has ever spawned.
It wasn't a reintroduction for many Americans. It was a reintroduction for everyone. Period. Like, Americans didn't think of it that way. That's literally what the film was.
But most importantly, to the not so familiar with Godzilla American audiences, it was a grounded take on the genre of gigantic monsters destroying a city.
Okay, you just said it was a reintroduction for Americans, but apparently now it's a movie for the not so familiar with Godzilla American audience? Which one is it? Also, I have a hard time believing that Americans weren't familiar with Godzilla considering how popular this mofo is. Godzilla is iconic in the same vein as Batman, Superman and Goku. Not everyone's an expert, but they certainly know of him at the very least. That's not even taking into account the fact that Godzilla 1998 was a thing before this movie, and despite its failure, was still a huge deal. Speaking of 1998, that film was also a grounded take on the character. Whether it was a successful one is up for debate, but still. A grounded take on the character wasn't exactly anything new. 2014 just approached the idea from a slightly more faithful direction compared to the radically different 1998 film. Anyway, he goes on for a bit about how 2014 eventually led to the rest of the Monsterverse films. You know, all of them being released in quick succession according to the video.
In quick succession, Legendary released Kong, Skull Island, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and Godzilla vs. Kong.
Quick succession my ass, at least in comparison to their contemporaries in the DCU and MCU.
Culturally, they're not thought of as a cinematic universe in the way that Marvel and DC are. The films are often thought of as less of a universe and more as a series of films that everyone is collectively shocked is still going.
Where on earth did you get that idea? No, really, I couldn't find any discussions online regarding how shocking it is that the Monsterverse is still moving forward. And why would there be? Nerdstalgic have stated multiple times themselves in this video that these movies have collectively made truckloads of money. On top of that, the films and the rest of the Monsterverse media has generally been well received. Of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Each piece of media, be it the films or the Monarch show, have their own fair share of issues. Hell, I'm not even gonna lie, there's been trash birthed from this franchise, alright? But in spite of that, there's clearly an audience here. There's clearly an audience for what the Monsterverse is putting out, so how anyone can be shocked that it's still going is beyond me.
They feel like they occupy a similar spot to the original Transformers films. Everyone knows they're dumb, but they can't help themselves. They just want to see the explosions and monster fights. To put it simply, they're disposable.
Okay, I will concede that most people watching these movies are probably doing so for the explosions and monster fights and whatnot, as the video claims. However, that doesn't automatically make them dumb. There's plenty of heart, substance and deeper thought put into these films, people just aren't looking for them. Or they just refuse to look past big monkey punching big lizard. Take for instance the characterization of the monsters themselves, an aspect spawned from the 2014 film which has been a continuing trend throughout the rest of them. The greatest example of this being the relationship between Gia and Kong, with Gia acting as Kong's gateway to the human world, being the only person he actively communicates with. Through this connection we get to see a more softer side to our beloved ape, his primal nature being tempered via this symbol of innocence and purity. All in all, pretty analogous to the Beauty and the Beast allegory that has been with this character since 1933. See what I mean though? There's meat on the Monsterverse bone, and just because people refuse to acknowledge it for whatever reason, doesn't mean it's not there. Stating that these movies are just, nothing more than just disposable pap, it's just outright bullshit. And that's not even taking into account the impact Godzilla vs. Kong had, being a rematch 60 years in the making. A huge blockbuster movie which, by the way, released post-COVID lockdown. In other words, a great source of escapism for a populace that damn well needed it, given what we all had to go through.
Here's where the problem with the Monsterverse Godzilla movies kind of begin and end. They're really not trying to be anything more than monster movies. And they want to be taken seriously like they are more than monster movies.
Again, there's substance to these movies. Nerdstalgic is just blissfully ignorant of all of it. I mean, let me put it like this, alright? The one thing connecting all these movies is this semi-secret organisation funded by the government that actively conceals their actions, motivations and knowledge from the public. Does that remind you of anything? Nah, me neither. It's just dumb monster slapfests, let's be honest.
In one breath, they'll have something exceedingly goofy happen like in Godzilla vs. Kong, when we literally go to the center of the Earth, where we learn that the Hollow Earth theory is true, and monsters live there, and then in the next breath, we'll be in the middle of a grounded family drama.
But why is it goofy? Why? I mean, you literally just described the events of the movie, which I guess on a surface level sounds goofy, but it's perfectly believable within the context of the film. They also framed this really dishonestly, because the family drama that supposedly clashes with the Hollow Earth stuff is from a completely different movie. But even if they were both in one movie, this argument still wouldn't work, because these aren't mutually exclusive concepts. Did Nerdstalgic not see Everything Everywhere All at Once? In one breath it's a serious family drama between a disconnected mother and daughter, and in another there's a scene with a dude who tries to shove an object up his arse in order to trigger a timeline where he knows martial arts, which he can then use himself via a multiversal device. I mean, yeah, I'm heavily paraphrasing here, but you get the point.
Legendary's Monsterverse projects aren't without redeeming qualities. There's good moments, characters, or sequences in all of the films. But the thing that's most frustrating about these movies as a unit is that they're just not aspiring to the same level of gravitas.
I like how Nerdstalgic can't even compliment the Monsterverse correctly. While stating that there are some good characters, they show footage of Emma Russell, the most reviled character in the Monsterverse by far. By a country mile, like it's not even close. Oh, and the reason the more recent films don't have the same level of gravitas is because they're going in a new direction. They've already done a more serious, grounded movie, and now it's blossoming into something new because guess what? Doing the same thing over and over again would get freaking boring. Plus, I really take issue with this framing here because you should take every movie you see somewhat seriously. Every film sets out to achieve something. Take the Transformers movies this very video brought up earlier. Are there a lot of stupid elements at play in those films? Yes, without a doubt. However, I still take them seriously because there's still intentionality behind them. Their goal is to be awesome action movies. Do they achieve this goal? Well, in my opinion, no. That's why they suck ass. So, the next 2 minutes is spent glazing -1 and Shin Godzilla. Nice voice break there. Stating that both movies are good because they use monster as metaphor. Which literally every Godzilla movie does, including the Monsterverse entries, so that's hardly a unique quality. Aside from that, there really isn't much to comment on, so I'm gonna just safely skip past all that.
Both of these recent films have been fueled by authorial visions and genuine attempts at saying something through the metaphorical language of monster movies. But not all Toho Godzilla movies are like this. Many of the films aspired to do nothing more than to bash the cinematic equivalent of action figures together for 2 hours.
Wow. Wow, brilliant! Many of the films aspired to do nothing more than bash the cinematic equivalent of 2 action figures together for 2 hours. Shows the 2 most notoriously political and subtext-driven Godzilla movies in the bloody franchise. In one corner you've got Godzilla vs King Ghidorah, a film caked in controversy surrounding the potential themes of Japanese nationalism. And then in the other you've got King Kong vs Godzilla, you know, the movie famous for being a satirical take on the TV industry. A Google search. A Google search. A Google search! Well, that's all you had to do. Just an ounce of research, man, it's not hard. Or, I don't know, actually watch the films you're talking about.
They have to know what they are. Godzilla vs Mechagodzilla, it knows what it is. It's dumb fun. Godzilla vs Kong, it doesn't. It's a silly movie about a massive ape fighting a big lizard, but it wants to be taken seriously because close to $200 million were spent on it. The fact that Godzilla 2014 is the best of the lot goes directly to this point.
Okay, for the millionth time, having silly out there concepts and telling a serious, meaningful story are not mutually exclusive things. They also keep reiterating the claim that 2014 is the best Monsterverse film, as if it were fact. Look, if that's your personal favourite, that's fair enough, you do you. But you can't just state that objectively. Especially when considering it's not even the most well-received film in the Monsterverse, critically speaking. Afterwards, Nerdstalgic decides to play yet another Gareth Edwards clip, this time where he talks about the deeper meaning of Godzilla being an unstoppable force of nature. It's after this clip where we get this amazing nugget of information.
The rest of the American Godzilla movies don't aspire to anywhere close to this level of thought, and even the 2014 film kind of falls apart under its own weight after the midway point.
This is just not true. Like at all. You can find countless interviews where directors other than Gareth have given their own thoughts and insights into the creation of their movies, be it casting choices, inspirations, directions with the Monsterverse as a whole, etc, etc. Again, this information is a Google search away. There's plenty of thought put into these films. They've either completely missed it, or they're being deliberately obtuse.
Just look at the difference between Godzilla -1, which has a distinct point of view, and the next installment in the Monsterverse, Godzilla Kong, The New Empire. One of them is a somber portrait of grief and survival, the other appears to be about Godzilla with glowing pink spines, and King Kong with a golden robot hand. If that doesn't say it all, what does?
Oh my god, dude, this is so fucking dishonest. Pardon my French. Ignoring the fact that Godzilla x Kong hasn't even dropped yet, I mean the trailers show a lot more than just pink dino and big ape with glove. We see evidence of an ancient human civilization still alive to this day living in Hollow Earth, alongside the long thought extinct Kong species. Add on top of that Gia's vision of danger, which implies a burgeoning psychic element to the character. Nerdstalgic have clearly just cherry picked details from the trailers and framed it in a way like that's all there is to it. You could easily do the inverse of what they did and have it sound legit. With this new Monsterverse trailer, we see yet again another deep dive into the realms of civilizations. How did they come about? Through what means did they function as a society? Looking for answers in the past is something seemingly ingrained into the human psyche. A natural instinct this film masterfully plays into. Oh, and also I guess we have minus boring ass 1 where Godzilla stomps through Japan for the millionth time. Wow, never seen that one before.
Legendary has no faith in its audience. They have no desire to attempt anything other than to make money.
Wait, hold on a minute. Are you saying that big company wants to make money? No. I don't believe. No. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Are they trying to imply that Toho doesn't want to make money? Because I'm pretty sure they're just as money motivated as any other production company. With that aside, it's finally time, folks. We've nearly reached the conclusion of the video. Nerdstalgic is gonna give us the ultimate fix for the Monsterverse. The solution we've all been waiting for. Let's do it. Lay it on me, man. How bad can it be?
The franchise needs to take a look at where things are and then start hiring auteur filmmakers to make stories that are focused on characters or concepts that are deeply compelling. Find creators who can make the world of Godzilla personal to them.
The sheer ghoul. The sheer and utter ghoul on these brazenly stupid assholes at Nerdstalgic. Or singularly brazenly stupid arsehole. I don't know how they operate, and quite frankly I don't care. Hire auteur filmmakers to create deeply compelling movies personal to them? Like, that's literally what they've been doing! First of all, nice way to pin 100% of their credit on the directors, as people are prone to do. Because screw everyone else that worked on these films, they don't matter. Second of all, the claim that following the 2014 film, the movies just became insidious cash grabs, and the directors just didn't give a damn about the project other than to cash a check. It's just ludicrous. It's just ludicrous, man. Like, I don't know how you can watch these films and not see the love, care, and thought put into them on all fronts. Watch any interviews or behind the scenes footage and you can see that Nerdstalgic is just lying.
And it felt like, you know, a childhood birthday wish come true. I've always wanted to make a Godzilla film. My first attempt at making a Godzilla film was when I was around 10 years old.
For me personally, this film really is about finding a symbiotic relationship between man and Godzilla / nature. Like, to me, Godzilla always has been Mother Nature's protector. He's been, you know, like I said, Mother Nature's 800 megaton gorilla.
Oh, so let's take a look at their prior directorial films. Do these really scream blockbuster action movie directors to you? Hell no! Legendary took a chance on these guys, and you can argue about the quality of their visions and how successful the final project is all you want. But don't boldly claim or imply that there was zero thought, care, or soul put into them, because that's simply not true. It's even more glaring in Doherty's case, considering he's evidently a lifelong fan of the franchise, having made a Godzilla spoof all the way back in his uni days. Okay, well that's about it for this video. Just before it ends, we do get this tiny little cherry on top of this shoddy sundae.
However, there's only one surefire way to guarantee box office returns. Good, old-fashioned stories, told well, will always win in the end.
I mean, that's just not even true. Just look at the box office earnings for the Transformers, Jurassic Park films, you know, plus the Mario movie, which was a thing just last year. Second highest grossing film of 2023, by the way. No good storytelling to be found, so that doesn't necessarily translate to good box office returns. Man, what a puke. What a crappy video. But, you know, it's not the only one like this. It's not just this and the Dr. Skipper video and whatever, what have you. There's plenty of bullcrap to go around. All of which are still up, by the way. You can still watch Nerdstalgic's video. You can still watch Dr. Skipper's video. If they really cared about sincerely delivering accurate information, or at least giving well thought out and informed takes, then they wouldn't be leaving these uploads public, milking every passing view they get to this day. Listen, if you haven't watched any other Godzilla film but -1 blew you away and inspired something greater in you to the extent that you want to discuss it, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you feel that way. Because it's an amazing film and it's cool to see people diverting from their comfort zone, checking out a genre they otherwise, in usual circumstances, wouldn't watch. But don't use it as an excuse to bash other films you either haven't seen or researched in the slightest, just because they differ from the package you enjoyed. I'm not saying the Showa era or Heisei era or Monsterverse films, what have you, are perfect, but you can't just write them off in bad faith. Especially when you don't know anything about them, like in Nerdstalgic's case. At the end of the day, research the things you watch. If not for me, then for this guy. This little fella here. That being said, that's all I have to say on Nerdstalgic's video. Like if you liked, dislike if you disliked, subscribe for more quality content, and I'll see you guys next time.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried. Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.